He would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all up.
You know how Erika Kirk has always been accused of putting on a performance, not just being emotional, but almost too polished? Like everything from her tears to her public reactions feels timed, rehearsed, and camera ready. Well, it turns out people might not have been exaggerating after all, because something from her past just resurfaced that connects her to the world of trained performers long before anyone even knew her name. A resurfaced Disney connection has fans talking again, and it's raising serious eyebrows. Apparently, Erika wasn't just randomly around cameras. She had been linked to professional acting circles for years. Once you see what's out there, her picture-perfect reactions start to look a lot more practiced. Here's where things get really interesting. An old 2014 photo of Erika Kirk standing side by side with David Henry, yes, the Disney Channel star from Wizards of Waverly Place, just popped back up online. They looked close, smiling, and completely comfortable with each other, like longtime friends rather than casual acquaintances. But it's not just the photo itself, it's the caption she wrote with it that's got everyone talking. Erika went on about purpose, calling, and changing the world, saying she felt blessed to have friends like Ed, David, and Len Ree who share that same purpose. She even called them her friends. That exact word. So when that picture started making the rounds again, people rushed to the comments asking the same thing. Wait, how do they even know each other? Because David Henry wasn't just a regular guy, he was a trained Disney actor, media coached, emotionally prepped, and skilled at playing to the camera. Suddenly, a lot of Erika's perfect timing moments don't seem so random anymore. For anyone who doesn't already know, Erika has stepped even deeper into the spotlight since taking over as CEO of Turning Point USA.
That young man, on the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
The very role she inherited after Charlie's tragic passing. And ever since that shift, the public's been split. Some people praise her composure, while others say the timing of her rise feels a little too polished, especially after September 10th, the day Charlie lost his life during a live event at Utah Valley University. Erika's visibility skyrocketed overnight. Since then, she's been everywhere. From major news networks to high-profile gatherings, Erika's been side by side with powerful names, always looking camera ready and perfectly poised. That kind of media confidence doesn't just appear out of thin air. Now, to be fair, David Henry himself hasn't really been political. He's known for speaking about his faith and often references how his role in the film Little Boy reignited his belief in God. That connection explains part of the overlap, the shared talk about faith, purpose, and values, but it still doesn't explain how Erika was already mingling in entertainment-adjacent circles years before she ever became the face of a political movement. And here's where people started looking at the bigger picture. Because when you combine this Disney tie with Erika's past in pageants, her time on reality TV, and her comfort in front of cameras, it paints a very clear story, one that looks more like preparation than coincidence. Let's be real, pageants are all about performance, reality TV, even more so, and those faith-driven spaces that broadcast everything on camera, they demand stage presence too. So when people online wonder why Erika's grief sometimes looks so controlled, or why she can break down 1 second and be perfectly calm the next, that Disney connection suddenly makes a lot more sense. Honestly, none of this should come as a surprise anymore. People have been calling Erika too polished since day one, ever since she stepped into that leadership role almost instantly after Charlie's passing.
Thing where she's like crying, but kind of that childlike thing.
Erika Kirk, a psychopath? That's the question that a couple of American readers of The Wisdom of Psychopaths have asked me quite independently over the past couple of.
And now, this new layer makes everything look even more rehearsed. If she spent years surrounded by actors, trained speakers, pageant culture, and media coaching, then maybe what we're seeing on camera isn't raw emotion at all. Maybe it's performance. To really understand what people mean by that, you have to look at the footage, the interviews, the speeches, the public appearances. Once you notice the pattern, it's hard to unsee it. The timing, the tone, the body language, it all feels a little too consistent, almost like a practiced rhythm. And I'm not here to tell anyone what to think, but seriously, after you see it for yourself, you might start wondering too. Let's start with one of the most talked about moments, Charlie Kirk's memorial. By that point, the 22-year-old accused of the shooting had already been taken into custody. The atmosphere was heavy, emotional, and completely silent as Erika walked up to the podium. Cameras flashed, people held their breath, and then she began to speak. But mid-speech, something happened that caught everyone off guard. A pause. Not the natural kind where someone gathers their thoughts, but an oddly timed, dramatic beat, and right after that, she said she forgave the young man involved. Now, Erika's strong Christian roots make that kind of statement understandable. Forgiveness aligns with her faith, but it wasn't just what she said that left people talking, it was how she said it. Because if you listen closely, before those words came out, you can hear her softly repeating them under her breath, almost like rehearsing the line before delivering it to the audience. You can actually hear her softly saying "that young man" under her breath, almost like she was practicing the line in her head, getting ready to deliver the emotional punch right on cue. And that's exactly what made people uneasy. It didn't feel spontaneous. It felt staged. The timing, the tone, even her breath before speaking seemed lined up for dramatic effect. Then she finally said it, loud, clear, and perfectly framed. And instantly, the crowd erupted. Applause filled the room.
Kona USA 2012 is Erika Kirk.
People stood, emotions ran high, and the entire scene looked like something straight out of a perfectly directed moment. If you've seen the clip, you know exactly what I mean. Now let's be real. Nobody's attacking the idea of forgiveness. That's not the issue here at all. It's the delivery that left people unsettled, because right after that moment went viral, another clip started circulating, and that's when things got even stranger. This new footage allegedly shows Erika just minutes before stepping on stage at Charlie's memorial. In the clip, she appears to be applying something near her eyes, and people online began speculating that it might be a tear-inducing product. Again, nothing has been officially confirmed, so this remains alleged, but what made everyone raise their eyebrows was the timing. This wasn't hours before the event or in private preparation. This was right before she walked up to the microphone, just moments before that emotional speech where she paused, cried, and delivered the forgiveness line that had everyone talking. The sequence felt a little too perfect, too coordinated, like every emotion hit at just the right second. And that wasn't the only moment that left people divided. Not long after Charlie's passing, Erika posted a video showing herself crying while holding his hand and speaking to him on camera. It was intimate, heartbreaking, and emotional, but also very public. She kissed his hand, whispered that she loved him, and shared the footage with the world. And while everyone processes grief differently, many people couldn't help but wonder why that deeply private goodbye had to be broadcast for millions to see. After that video went viral, the internet completely split in two. Some people defended Erika, saying it was just a moment of pure heartbreak, a human reaction caught in the worst time imaginable, but others couldn't shake the feeling that something didn't sit right. They pointed out the lighting, the perfect framing, the fact that she seemed aware of where the camera was positioned even while crying. It didn't look like an accidental capture, it looked like a scene, and that's when people started digging deeper. Clips began resurfacing from old interviews, public appearances, and even behind-the-scenes footage that most people had forgotten about.
Oh, I love you. 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 God bless you.
Every time Erika was emotional on camera, it followed the same rhythm. The trembling breath, the sudden pause, then tears that appeared almost on cue. Viewers started putting the clips side by side, and the similarities were undeniable. In one video from a charity gala, long before Charlie's passing, Erika gave an emotional speech about faith and perseverance. Midway through, her voice cracked, her eyes glistened, and then, perfectly timed, a single tear rolled down her cheek as the crowd applauded. Back then, people called it moving, but now, looking back through a new lens, it feels eerily similar to her later performances. People began asking the uncomfortable question, had Erika always known how to cry on cue? Because if she'd spent years in environments that rewarded performance, pageants, media appearances, camera-heavy events, it might not even be intentional manipulation. It could simply be muscle memory, a learned behavior that kicks in every time the spotlight hits. That idea started spreading like wildfire. Comment sections filled with debates. Some said she's grieving, stop analyzing every tear. Others responded, maybe, but real grief isn't camera ready, and the argument only got louder as new moments kept surfacing. For instance, during her first major public appearance after taking over as CEO, Erika walked on stage to a standing ovation. The event was supposed to be about honoring Charlie's legacy, but it quickly turned into a showcase of her composure. She smiled through tears, adjusted the microphone, and thanked supporters with flawless pacing. No stumbles, no breaks, every beat delivered perfectly. That's when online investigators began comparing her tone to professional media training. Former PR coaches and body language experts started chiming in, saying things like, "This is textbook presentation control." Even some of Erika's old acquaintances reportedly said she had always been extremely image aware, someone who never showed up unprepared, never appeared flustered, and always knew how to command a room.
She saw a performance. Everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people maybe perhaps want to have that memory, but the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erika.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Being composed under pressure is a skill, but in this situation, it's what made people suspicious, because while most people fall apart after tragedy, Erika seemed to grow stronger, more articulate, more confident in front of cameras. It almost looked like she had been preparing for this kind of public attention her entire life. Now let's rewind a bit to something that keeps coming up, her beauty pageant past. Old photos of Erika in pageant competitions resurfaced, showing her in gowns, giving speeches, and practicing stage walks. Pageant contestants are trained to manage facial expressions, project sincerity, and create emotional connection with an audience. One viral post summed it up perfectly. Once you've been through that kind of training, you don't just forget how to perform, it becomes second nature. That training might explain why Erika can switch emotions so fast, why 1 second she's crying and the next she's smiling for cameras. To the average viewer, it feels jarring. But to someone who's spent years practicing emotional control for competition, it's almost instinctive. People began connecting dots between those pageant years and her later media work. She'd appeared on local talk shows, reality segments, and motivational conferences, all spaces where presence and performance mattered. Add in her Disney connection and her circle of media-trained friends, and the puzzle starts looking complete. Still, not everyone buys into the theory. Many fans say the accusations are unfair, even cruel. They argue that society has a double standard, that if a man handled loss with composure, he'd be called strong, but when a woman does it, she's labeled fake. And honestly, that's a valid point. There's definitely truth in how public perception can twist depending on who's in the spotlight. But here's where things get complicated again. After Charlie's funeral, Erika began releasing more curated videos, personal reflections, tributes, and behind-the-scenes clips showing her journey as she rebuilt her life. The editing was cinematic, the lighting perfect, the music emotional but not overbearing. Everything looked produced. People couldn't tell if it was genuine healing or a media rollout.
Now, the way she went up on stage saying she forgives the suspect because that's what Christianity would want her to do. Yeah, let's just go ahead and forgive the man who murdered your husband, or maybe he didn't, but that's a conversation for another video. Regardless, it really feels like the Trump administration.
One moment in particular caught attention. In a video posted just weeks later, Erika sat in her living room surrounded by framed photos of Charlie, speaking about how purpose doesn't die with tragedy. Her tone was calm, her makeup subtle, her eyes wet but steady. The video ended with a fade out and instrumental music, and that's what triggered another wave of comments. Viewers began to notice the same production pattern: soft lighting, emotional pacing, perfectly cut transitions. It wasn't just someone processing pain, it looked like a campaign message. And that's when critics started questioning if the grieving widow image had turned into branding. Some pointed out that her Instagram engagement spiked massively after those videos. Every emotional post brought thousands of new followers, press coverage, and sympathy comments. To some, that looked like strategy. To others, it was just a byproduct of visibility. But the optics were messy either way. Meanwhile, within Turning Point USA, whispers reportedly began that Erika was using her platform differently, more influencer than executive. She appeared in photo shoots, wore designer outfits to memorial events, and even coordinated press angles herself. To supporters, that showed strength and leadership. To critics, it screamed PR management over mourning. Then came the moment that sealed the public's divided view, her televised interview about forgiveness. When the host asked how she found peace, Erika took a deep breath, looked straight into the camera, and said, "Because I know he's in a better place and I'm still called to lead." The line was powerful, touching, almost cinematic. But again, it felt too perfect. Like every word had been practiced until it landed exactly right. That single clip went viral overnight. Some praised her for grace under pressure, others accused her of emotional manipulation. A trending post read, "She's turning pain into performance and she doesn't even flinch." And that brings us to where things stand now, a public still torn between empathy and doubt. On one side are those who see Erika as a resilient woman carrying on a mission through unimaginable loss. On the other are those who think she's turned personal tragedy into a polished narrative that benefits her image. At the end of the day, maybe both can be true. Maybe Erika's both grieving and performing, both hurting and aware of the lens pointed at her. Because when someone has lived years in front of cameras, the line between authenticity and presentation gets blurry. What's real emotion and what's learned behavior? Sometimes even the person behind the tears might not know anymore. One thing's for sure, this story isn't going away anytime soon. Every new appearance, every interview, every public moment adds another layer to how people see her. Whether it's genuine faith or practiced poise, Erika Kirk has become a master at keeping all eyes on her. And right now, the world's still watching. As weeks passed, the internet obsession with Erika only grew stronger. Every post, every expression, every public move was dissected like a scene in a movie. People weren't just watching her anymore, they were studying her. Clips slowed down, body language analyzed, even background reflections were being zoomed in on by online investigators trying to catch anything that might reveal the truth. But what truth were they even looking for? Some wanted proof that Erika's public persona was authentic, that she was genuinely mourning, just doing it in her own polished way. Others were convinced she was deliberately shaping her image, playing both the grieving widow and the powerful leader at once. Either way, she had become the center of an ongoing social media storm that refused to die down. What made things even wilder was how calm Erika remained through it all. No angry statements, no defensive posts, no online feuds. Instead, she leaned further into her public role, speaking about faith, resilience, and continuing Charlie's mission. It was almost as if she'd made peace with being misunderstood. But that silence didn't stop the speculation. The more poised she appeared, the louder people talked, especially after one event where she appeared in a bright white outfit, calm, composed, and smiling while standing beside Charlie's old colleagues. The color choice alone sparked another wave of debate. Some said white represented peace and renewal. Others claimed it was too soon, accusing her of turning mourning into a photo op. That's the strange paradox with Erika. Everything she does can be read two completely opposite ways. When she cries, people say it's staged. When she smiles, they say it's insensitive. When she stays silent, they call it strategy. When she speaks, they call it performance. There's no winning in that kind of spotlight, but she seems to know that and she keeps going anyway. Then came a moment that reignited everything. A clip leaked from an internal Turning Point meeting showing Erika giving a speech to staff. It wasn't supposed to be public, but somehow it made its way online. In it, she talked about legacy, leadership, and forgiveness again. But the delivery was strikingly similar to her past appearances. The same phrasing, the same cadence, even the same emotional pauses. People immediately called it the memorial speech all over again. Critics said it proved she treats emotional language like a brand, something rehearsed and repeatable. Supporters countered, saying that's just her natural speaking rhythm, that she's consistent, not calculated, and maybe that's true, but when you've already been accused of performing your grief, even natural moments start looking suspicious. To make things more intense, that leaked clip was followed by a media interview where Erika smiled through tears again, saying, "Pain can shape purpose." The line spread across social media instantly. It became a slogan, memes, edits, reels, all using the same 5 words. Her supporters turned it into motivation. Her critics turned it into proof that she was monetizing emotion. And right there lies the core of this entire story. The question that nobody can answer definitively. Is Erika Kirk a woman surviving a nightmare with extraordinary composure? Or is she someone who learned long ago that cameras love emotion and knows exactly how to use that? It's complicated because the truth might live somewhere in between. She's clearly strong, clearly media trained, clearly strategic, but she's also someone who lost the person closest to her. Both realities can exist at the same time, and maybe that's what makes her story so hard to look away from. It's not black or white, real or fake. It's all of it at once. Still, the debates show no signs of slowing down. Every new post reignites the same arguments. Even something as simple as a smile in a photo or a short caption becomes a topic of discussion. The internet keeps demanding authenticity, but also punishes anyone who doesn't fit the exact image of grief they expect. And through it all, Erika keeps showing up. Camera ready, calm, and focused. Whether it's faith, discipline, or calculated image management, she's mastered the art of staying composed while the world analyzes her every move. Maybe that's her greatest performance, or maybe it's just who she truly is when the lights never turn off. Here's where the confusion really exploded. Remember, this all happened after Erika had publicly asked for privacy, after she told everyone to stop speculating, to give her space, to let her grieve in peace. But then, she was the one posting intimate videos on Instagram, recording herself in emotional moments and sharing them with millions of people online. That's when everyone started asking the same question: who is this really for? Because if you truly want privacy, you don't usually grab your phone, hit record, and upload one of the most private moments imaginable. That contradiction hit people hard, and it shifted the entire tone of how her grief was being perceived. And things only got messier when Candace Owens stepped in. These two have not been aligned since Charlie's passing, and this moment made that divide painfully public. Candace, who has been openly questioning the official story and timeline of what happened to Charlie, didn't hold back when she saw Erika posting those videos. She didn't see a private moment of heartbreak. She saw a performance. Now, whether people agree with Candace or not, her reaction changed everything. Because when someone inside the same political circle starts calling things out, it sends a signal. A big one. It showed that even within their shared world, there were cracks forming, people uncomfortable with how Erika was presenting herself. From there, the criticism only snowballed. People online began talking about her wardrobe choices, saying she didn't look like a grieving widow. Now, of course, grief doesn't have a dress code. Everyone handles loss differently. But when every public appearance looks styled, posed, and deliberate, people notice. The conversations became less about pain and more about presentation. And that's when an even bigger theory took shape. That maybe Erika wasn't just trying to survive the loss. Maybe she was using the moment to elevate herself. Whispers began spreading that she was building visibility, gaining influence, and carefully reshaping her image into something larger. It's someone powerful, someone destined for leadership. Some online voices even went as far as to suggest she could be quietly setting herself up for a future political path, possibly aligning with other rising figures. Maybe even being floated as a potential running mate for J.D. Vance someday. Of course, nothing like that has been confirmed, but the speculation alone shows how quickly her image has shifted in the public eye. And when you piece it all together, the Disney ties, the media training, the pageant polish, the perfectly timed tears, the emotional speeches, and now the carefully curated social media presence, it starts to feel less like a series of coincidences and more like a narrative being carefully managed. Now, to be clear, no one's saying Erika isn't in pain. Grief changes people in unpredictable ways. But the way she's displayed that grief, the pacing, the tone, the timing, feels crafted, deliberate, almost cinematic. And once you see that pattern, it's hard not to question everything that's come after Charlie's passing. And because whether you believe she's grieving, performing, or maybe a mix of both, one thing's for sure, Erika Kirk knows exactly how to stay in the spotlight. And the world's not done watching her yet. If you found this story as wild as we did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned because this story is far from over. See you on the next one.